Alright, welcome back to another video. Today is Tuesday, so if you guys watched my video yesterday, I broke down what my training split looks like. Tuesdays is lower body day number 1. This is the second week of this training block that I'm on right now, so we're going to be increasing the intensity from last week a little bit. We're going to start off with those reactive box jumps. We're going to go into a seated box jump variation, into some banded box squats, into that reverse lunge with a twist that we did. I'm adding one thing in this week that I didn't do the previous week, which I'll show you after we do some of those lunge variations. Then we're going to finish off with some nordics and have a progression from what we did last week. So during a power phase, which is what I'm calling this block that I'm in right now, the progression from week to week should be a progression in intensity. And sometimes with an increase in intensity, it means a decrease with overall volume. So last week on some of the accessory movements, we were doing sets of 8. We're going to be doing less reps on that today. On the box squats, we're doing the same amount of sets, less repetitions. We're going to up the weight on the barbell a little bit. So there'll be some different progressions that we do for each of the movements. And then obviously adding in an extra movement. I don't normally do that, but I do feel that it's early enough in the block where I can add something in, still progressive for the next couple weeks, and then maybe keep it in for the next block as well. But like I said, as we get there, I'll kind of show you what I'm doing and my thought process on why I'm implementing something like that into this block now. So I'm gonna get warmed up a little bit, which basically just means I'm gonna start jumping around, moving a little bit, and then we're gonna start off with those reactive box jumps, alternating legs on top of the box. So first movement today, we're doing those reactive box jumps where we're going to be jumping up, putting one foot on, trying to bounce off the ground, alternating back and forth. Being a reactive movement, it's going to put a lot of stress on the lower leg, the Achilles, the feet, the calves, specifically for this variation. So if you're going to warm up with something like that, I normally will just start warming up very lightly and kind of building in intensity as we go. You could even start off by just doing some stationary pogos as you go, working on just feeling reactive off the ground, and then slowly building in intensity as you go. A couple sets of those will be fine. I like to warm up a little bit more specifically for exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'll just start off, even though I'm probably going to be stacking up multiple of these boxes on top of each other, I'm going to start off with just a light variation. And then build up in intensity as we go. However you like to warm up should be specific to you. Just like I said with some of the track stuff, you got to do whatever it is you're going to do in order to make you feel prepared to train for that day. So everyone's warm up is going to be a little bit different. Some people have aches and pains. Some people feel tight somewhere. If you want a foam roll, do whatever it is you want to do. That's fine. The warm up is very specific. Also very general in terms of person to person and what each of them is going to specifically need. So I'm going to warm up on this, and then we'll get into probably do 4 sets on the reactive jumps, and then when we move into the box jumps, we're going to do 5 sets at most on the box jumps, as long as they're continuously feeling pretty snappy and quick. Then we'll probably build up on 5 sets on the seated box jump. This will either be my first working set or my last warm-up set. The focus I have on this, I said 4 sets of 10. I'm going to do 4 sets of 8 because we did 4 sets of 10 last week. So the focus on this is build in intensity. Normally, if you're building in intensity in terms of trying to be more powerful and explosive, you take reps off from week to week as you go. That should lower the amount of fatigue, increase the amount of intensity, allow you to be more explosive with each of those movements. So I'm going to test this out, see how it feels. This will either be working set number 1 or my final warm-up set. And then if I want, I'll put on a few of these mats on top. I don't think 4 of these boxes will be achievable with the sets and reps that I want to do. So I'm thinking of maybe just building it up another couple inches on top of this, and we'll see how it goes. So 4 sets of 8, 4 on each side. Alright, that felt really good. That was my last warm up. I'm going to go a little bit higher. Let's say 4 mats, which is probably another 2 inches. What's that? No, that's probably about 3 inches. So each one of these is about 8 inches thick, or 20 centimeters-ish. So you're looking at 8, 16, 24, roughly 26 inches on the box jumps today. So take a couple minutes here, and then we're going to knock out 4 sets of 8 on this. Alright, my first 2 sets felt kind of good. So what I'm going to do, add a couple more mats. Do my last 2 sets at probably 28 inches or so. This is about 4 to 5 inches now, give or take. I'm measuring it by doing this. So, who knows? I think it's 4 inches. That's probably about no more than 4 inches. So we got 28 inches at max right here. Do the last set here. What I'm thinking about is next week, I'm probably going to be doing 4 sets of 6, so 3 reps on each side. And I'm probably going to try and get 4 of these boxes as I do it. So I want to progress a little bit. We'll do my last 2 sets at a little bit higher of a box. The jumps have been feeling good. I think that was 8. I lost count. So second thing we're doing today is a seated box jump from the same angle at which I'm going to be doing my box squats. I'm just going to be working on trying to put my foot into the ground as hard as I can, get up as high as I can on top of the box. So 4 to 5 sets of 2 on this. I'm just going to start where I ended with my reactive jumps and count that as set number 1, and then maybe add a box on top and do the rest of the sets with 4 of those boxes instead of 3 with the rubber mats here. So 4 to 5 sets, 2 really good explosive reps. Probably need a little bit more space. Alright, added one more box. Set number 2. So as you can see, when I'm doing these, some people call these a rocker jump. I just call it seated box jump because I'm sitting in a position, I'm jumping onto a box. The reason why some people call it a rocker jump is because your feet come off the ground and you kind of rock into that position. I like that movement better than being in a static position, simply because I feel like I can get more pop out of that versus keeping my feet flat on the ground and exploding through. There is a little bit difference between the 2 jumps, but for me, I'm focused on
creating as much force into the ground as possible, trying to get up as high as I can, so that rocker allows me to just explode through that position a little bit better versus keeping my feet flat on the ground the entire time. You could do either version. Some people will feel more explosive keeping their feet in contact with the ground. Some people will feel more explosive rocking into it. The idea here is just choose the variation that's going to allow you to put the most force into the ground and get yourself up as high off the ground as possible. So for me, that's the rocker variation. But that's set number 2. I'm going to do at least 2 more sets, and then we're going to move on to the banded box squat. Set for shits and giggles, we're going to throw on some extra mats. Do our last set at a slightly higher box. There you go. Alright, we're going to set up for the box squat. The box squat again, using those bands because we're going to be doing repetitive explosive movements. I don't want that bar popping off my shoulders, so that band's going to keep the bar connected to me. We're going to do 5 sets of 3. Last week we did sets of 4. I think I was at 170 or 175 with the black bands. Today I want to be around 190, maybe 200 with the bands. So we'll see how it feels as I'm warming up. But again, not a traditional box squat where you're actually going to like sit on the box, kind of get the tension off the legs and then try to explode up and out of it. That box is just a reference point on how low I want my squat to be. And then as soon as I feel that box, I'm trying to be explosive and reactive to explode off. The one thing you want to be careful of is you're not just pounding yourself into the box and standing back up. With that load on the shoulders, if you sit down violently and like crash down onto the box and try to explode out, that's a lot of compression going through the spine. You could end up damaging something, getting yourself hurt. So you want to be controlled as you go down, feel the box, and immediately explode back up off of the box. So you should be somewhere around 90 degrees, maybe slightly above 90 degrees, depending on what your box is going to be. So light touch onto the box. And explode yourself back up. Based off 170, I think 190 is going to be a good working weight today. So we're going to throw some 10s on, and then we got 5 sets of 3.
All right, if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I wanted to do a little voiceover, explain what it is that I'm doing after I finish these box squats. So last 2 sets here, just again, be as explosive as you can, move the barbell with intent. And then the new movement that I added in today was kind of a box RDL or a rack RDL pull. So as you can see, I'm trying to set up, arch my back really well, feel the hamstrings already being engaged prior to moving the barbell, and then trying to explode to the top of the hip as quickly as possible. The idea that I had behind this was with doing all the jumps, the seated box jump, and then into the box squat, I'm a very quad dominant squatter, so I wanted to add some sort of a hinge variation to the day that's going to allow me to hit the hamstrings a little bit, and then also using it from this box allows me to kind of hit the glutes a little bit harder as well. So again, set the bar up to where it's usually going to be somewhere at the bottom range of your normal RDL, which for me, my normal RDL goes to just below the knee where I feel the most tension on the hamstrings. So I set the barbell up at that height. I'm going to put as much tension onto the hamstrings prior to moving the barbell as possible. So again, you'll see that arch in the back. I'm really pushing the hips back as far as I can. You can't really see my feet here, but I'm flat-footed on the ground, and then I'm just trying to hit the hamstrings very hard. The last two things that I did here, that lunge with a twist, I decided I don't like that movement. I loaded it up a little bit today. I didn't like how it felt as the bar got heavier. I felt I was just more in control of trying to stop rotating back and forth more than putting stress onto the lunge. So I just decided to do a banded lunge variation. This is an anti-rotation kind of resistance to it versus the other lunge was going to be a rotation type resistance to it. So just switched it up today. So something I normally do, I'll test out movements prior to releasing it on the subscription program, just so I can give you guys the best feel for each day during your training sessions. And then the last thing for the day is going to be some GHD raises. So glute ham developers, Nordic raises, whatever you want to call them. I love these. These are always going to be in my training program, regardless of what the intent of the overall phase is going to be. I feel this hits the hamstring harder than pretty much anything else that you can do. So that's going to be the session today. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.